Wikipedia is free to edit. Everyone can do their part. So here's a guide for those who don't know where to start. Okay, so basically, someone was asking me about Wikipedia editing, and I have this whole slideshow that I've made when I did like a Women in Science thing. So I just thought I'd walk people through the various things about how to get started with Wikipedia editing. I think I'm going to slice around this video a little, so I'll show you the practical stuff, then take you back and tell you more about all like the guidelines and that sort of thing, especially with an emphasis on making articles for female scientists, but it applies to like anyone. And yeah, the important thing is like I am not an expert at all. It's one of those things where I know enough to get by, and enough to like I've made some articles, and when I'm on a page I feel comfortable enough to make edits and that sort of thing. And so that's kind of my goal for what to get you guys. And basically there's like a bazillion links in these slides that I have available online, freely available for anyone to use, access, the whole spirit of free things, Wikipedia. But there's a ton of links to all these different ways you can find help. And so yeah, so let's go. Is an article I had made for the scientist Clara Benson, who was the sole female founder of the American Society for Biological Chemistry, now the ASBMB, and one of the first 2 women to earn a PhD from the University of Toronto. And so right now we're looking at the article. So this is like where you see it in like normal view, and then like, so here's the talk page. So I added that it's of interest to those projects, so in categories. So those are what I've been telling you about before. And if anyone had like a question about like if that had it thought about like what should be changed or something, they could write it on the talk page. So when you have to like, if you were to do that, you have to go to edit source, and so now you can like write something on there. But anyway, so this is the article page. So if I wanted to edit it, I could do this. And then right now I'm editing in this visual mode. And so you can see like if a thing, so these things have like these blue because they're links, they have hyperlinks. If there was a word that I thought should be a hyperlink, I can like highlight it, and then I can then do this link button, and then if there was a page already there, it would add a link to the page, and then if there wasn't, it would make it a red link. And you can like insert a citation really here, so everything's like really easy. They make it really easy. If you have like a website or a DOI or something, it'll make it automatically, or you can also do it manually. If you want to edit one of these, you have to, it's like this, you can edit it here. So this is like the visual mode. It's like easiest to get started, but there's some things like you can only do in the source editing mode. So if you go by this like pencil, now you're in source editing, and so now you're seeing like the code behind it type of stuff. And this is like you'll see like links have these like double lines around them and that sort of thing, and there's different formatting, and I'll give you links in the slides to how you can learn more about that. But you had that's basically all like the basics of this. And then there's like you can insert templates, so that's how I got like this info box and stuff, and there are various different things. You could also see the history of all the edits, so back from when I made this to changes that have been made and that sort of thing. You can also like when you say like edit, you can say this is a minor edit or whatever, and then that sort of thing. So like I was saying, everybody has like a user page, and so if people want to talk to me, they can put it here, or if you're like subscribed to some sort of like group or whatever, then they can post updates on your page. You also have a watch list, so you can create a watch list if there's various topics. So if you're on an article, you can add a page to your watch list. So I don't know what how these, okay, so if there was a page that was like helmet, I can, it's been a while, so if I yeah, there we go. So if I add this star, now it's going to be on my watch list, and I'm going to get like an email or some sort of alert in my message box or whatever, depending on what settings I put, that there's been a change to that article, and I can set it so that like only if it's not like minor changes won't give me an alert, but full changes will. So sandbox is really important. So this is where you can like practice things out. So here it was just from when I was moving something, and then yeah, but anyway, like a sandbox is like anything you do here, it's not like hooked up to the Wikipedia search stuff. So someone can't find the page unless they like come to your sandbox and specifically find it. And you can have like multiple like sandbox type things, like fake pages. And I'll show this more of the links. But basically you have your one like main sandbox associated with your account that's up here. And yeah, so other people won't like see your sandbox. But if like they were to type in like the Wikipedia, like the whole like link thing, so if they knew your sandbox name or whatever, then they could come. But anyway, but it's gonna redirect you. So now, what else did I forget? So yeah, so that's articles, and then there's like user pages, talk pages. So the talk pages, the bad thing about them is they don't have a visual editor option. So like to add a message, you click the new section button, then you give your comments to the bottom of the page, and you give a title, and then you use this colon to indent yourself deeper into the conversation. And then to like sign your name and the date, you put these like 4 tildes, and it'll automatically mark. And this sounds like a really intimidating and a lot of stuff, but those tutorials and all the links and the tea room and everything, it's really not that bad. And this is really only comes into play more when you're actually doing like serious editing. If you just want to like fix a typo or that sort of thing, it's really easy. Yeah, so we saw the history page, the sandbox. So yeah, so you can create as many sandbox pages as you want by editing the username. So instead of putting like sandbox, your default one is like sandbox, but I could put like a different sandbox name there. So I could say like sandbox 2, and it would make a new sandbox for me. Or put, yeah, in the sandbox in the search box. So the additional sandboxes won't be automatically linked, so I won't be able to like come up here and easily find it. But if you know it'll be in your like contributions, and it also, if you just like remember the name of it, then you can search for it with the whole like chain, your username in the sandbox and stuff. We talked about watch list. So yes, to get started, you have to like create an account. It's super easy. Yeah, so we saw the difference between visual editor and source editor. Yeah, so here were just some figures I had made. So yeah, so when you actually go to make an edit, you want to give an edit summary. They have like default ones that you can choose from, or you can do something else, and then you can say if you like want to watch the page. So if anyone else changes it after you, you'll know. If it's just a minor edit, you can put that. So some common like wiki tests. So this is the like not the visual editor, the other form. So like 3 lines, there's like paragraph. What do you call those? Quotation marks. It will be bold or this way, and then it's link, bold and line, whatever. So there, yeah. So this is like linking to the article boldness or whatever. You can get a specific user's attention by pinging them. So if like you're on a talk page or whatever, and you're responding to someone, you can ping them to say like, "Hey, I responded to you." He's doing this pig thing, and it'll send them a notification. Or else they'll only get a notification if you address them on their own personal talk page. This cheat sheet's really great for wiki code. Then like creating a new page for when it's your first one, you can use this like article wizard. Then when you're done, you can submit it for review, and then if your account's more than 4 days old and you've done 10 edits, once you're at that point, then you can automatically move a page out of your sandbox. So when you're in your sandbox on your page, you can do more. You can go to move, and then you can move it out of your sandbox. So yeah, so you can go to this like Wikipedia article wizard, and so you can like practice or learn how to make an article. So that's really good when you're doing your first one. Other useful things, so yeah, like redirects. So you can do this by making a new page and writing redirect and then the thing. So here's like redirect. Helps you with the redirect. There's also yeah, normally when I don't remember how to do something, I just Google it and it helps you really easily. So yeah, so Wikipedia. So now I'm searching within Wikipedia instead of an article. And so yeah, so now it tells you more about redirects. I thought there was like a link somewhere. Wikipedia redirect. There we go, Wikipedia, how to make a redirect. And then you could do it really easily here. But anyway. Okay, yeah, see, I'm really not a pro at this. I just do it occasionally, and I've made some articles. Speaking of which, if you go, like if you wanted to see, or I guess this was just for me, but like if I was on a different page, so you can see what I've done. It's just the newer ones, but like, so say if I go to this page, then I can view history. Abbott, I don't know who this is, but if I go to their page, I think there's a way that, this is a bot. Okay. So this is like Jess Wade's page. If I go, I can like see this person's contributions. So like contribs. Then you can see the user contributions from this person on these different. Okay, that was a bad choice. But anyway, there, yeah. So you can see various people's contributions to various articles. Yeah. Okay. So hope that helps you get started with Wikipedia, and really check out those links. That's what's going to be the most helpful. But yeah, I've got to get back to work. If you like, there's a science topic or whatever that needs a little beefing up or whatever. So that's the cool thing about Wikipedia, is that anyone can contribute, and everyone has these different, like, knows about different things and that sort of thing, knows where to look, and does what they want. So that's kind of a problem though too, because then you get a bunch of articles just about like white guys. So yeah, so it's really important that we have like a diverse group of Wikipedia editors. So basically, Wikipedia is like part of this whole like Wikipedia like Wikimedia universe type thing. So you might have seen some of these symbols before. So like this one's Wikipedia, and this one's Wikimedia Commons, which has free pictures. And so yeah, I have some of my graphics up on Wikimedia Commons to make it easier for people to use. But anyway, Wikipedia has these 5 pillars. So first, it's an online encyclopedia, neutral point of view, free content, respect and civility, and no firm morals. And we'll go into these. But so first, it's an online encyclopedia. It's not a soapbox. So there's no like, you can't make opinions or like preach or your messages about anything or whatever. It's an encyclopedia. And it's not primary research. So like, even if you, like if I were to go in the lab and I were to discover something, I couldn't then just like go put it on Wikipedia. So it's not people doing like original research. It's you finding sources that are talking about research that has been done or whatever. So like with science papers and stuff, you can't just like put the original paper. You usually have to put a paper that's like a news article or something that's reporting the paper, even though like sometimes the news articles get it wrong, you know. So it's kind of like weird as a scientist because the primary research is where like the data and stuff is, but Wikipedia is like it's a encyclopedia. It's not a primary research thing, so you can't put like primary research on there unless you're just like you're showing like here's some example papers or that sort of thing. But if someone discovers something, you need to have a source that says so and so discovered this, and then that's what you cite. Okay, it's written from a neutral point of view. So describe, don't debate, keep opinions out. If there are pages that are getting like too hot or whatever, they'll actually like restrict who can edit it for a bit, and then only like people who have been editing for a really long time and have like some sort of like higher status or whatever will be able to edit. But normally all the pages are open, but keep your opinions out and stuff, and if it gets too bad they'll like restrict who can edit. Strive for verifiable accuracy, so you want to cite reliable authoritative sources, and special caution for articles on living persons. So you want to be really careful when you're doing living people, and so if you click on the link in the slides, then they have like a guide for people with living people, and if it's an article about a living person, it'll have like a thing on the top that this is a living person, and you have to be really careful so you don't do anything. So yeah, and avoid conflict of interest. So this can be hard because like you can't edit articles about like yourself or any subject you have a personal, financial, or professional relationship with. So I couldn't like make an article about my boss even though I know my boss really well. So Wikipedia is free content. So this all editors freely license their work to the public. You don't own what you write, and you have to respect copyright laws and don't plagiarize. So try to find free alternatives before borrowing. Non-free is fair use. This comes into play with like the pictures. So the pictures are like the hardest part for a lot of things. Like if you're trying to do an article about like a person, you can't just find a picture of the person on Google and stick them in there. We'll talk more about the pictures later. But you always have to find a free alternative, and then there's like fair use where you can, if it's like some really grainy picture that you're just using it to demonstrate a point or whatever, then like some sort of thing. There's all these specific rules. I'll show you how you can find out more. So yeah, respect and civility. So Wikipedia etiquette, they have like a whole guide or whatever, but no personal attacks. Assume good faith. So if someone makes an edit that like seems really wrong to you or whatever, like don't think that they're doing it just because they're trying to like sow trouble or they had a bad intention. They probably just didn't realize like they thought something the wrong way, or they misread something or something. So assume good faith, and be welcoming to newcomers, which is really nice when you're a newcomer. So yeah, so every article has a talk page. I'll show you, and that's where you can interact with the other editors who are working on it. So maybe if someone made an edit that you don't like agree with or whatever, you can talk to them on the page and say like, why did you make that edit? Like if they removed something you had put in or whatever because they didn't think it was relevant, you can say, well, it's relevant. Or like if they take down your page because they don't think it's notable, then you can be like, why this? Yeah, so respect and civility. But then there are no firm rules. But that doesn't mean there aren't like policies and guidelines. So as I was talking about before, like if a page has too many like people like trolling you or whatever, they'll actually like restrict who can go on. So be bold but not reckless, and know that really importantly, like every past version of a page is saved. So don't be afraid to make a change. And also if you don't like a change, then you can like go back to an older version. Verifiability, so reliable sources. These include textbooks, literature reviews, books or publications written by experts and published by reliable publishers. So you can't use blog posts, so no using my blog, biased press materials. You want to cite, so you need to provide a way for others to check its accuracy. And also if you're like on an article and there's like no citations or whatever, you can stick a little like flag it for needs citations, and then it'll put a little needs citations banner. Okay, notability. This comes into play a lot when you're trying to make an article about a person, like especially a scientist, because they usually don't have that much written about them in terms of in the form that like one of those sources that Wikipedia likes. So for a topic to have its own article, it needs to have significant coverage and reliable sources that are independent of the subject. So for significant coverage, it needs at least a couple of sources that talk specifically about it. So it doesn't have to be like a whole book about the person, but if there was like, but they can't just in passing say the person's name. There has to be like a chapter or a paragraph or something. Reliable sources, so we talked about that before. They don't have to be in English, and they don't have to be online, so you can do like a text or whatever. You just have to actually cite it, and it has tools to help you cite. It has to be independent of the subject, so yeah, we talked about this before, but it can't be like, oh, I guess this is a different way. So it can't be like self-publicity or advertising. So you can like put a link to the person's site or whatever just to like as a resource, but you can't use their site to say like, oh, they do this or whatever. Okay, no original research. So yeah, don't publish your own ideas or conclusions on a topic. Summarize what other people have said, and only write what you can explicitly verify. So instead of saying, so you would write the high levels of fish poison were found in the water in 2002, source 1. The fish population declined 50% in 2003, source 2. Not high levels of fish poison in the water led to a 50% decline in the fish population. Even if you might think that's the case. Unless you have a source that you can cite that explicitly draws that conclusion. So no drawing it on your own. So copyright and plagiarism. Except for brief quotations, no copying content from copyrighted sources onto Wikipedia. So like unattributed plagiarism is when you copy word for word without citation. Cited plagiarism is copy word for word but cite it. It's still not okay. So you can't just like copy it word for word, a big chunk of text, and then say, oh, I got it from here. No. You also can't do like close paraphrasing where you just like change a word or two. You can, if there's something on there that like looks wrong or whatever, you can challenge it with this tag in wiki code, or there's a way to do it in the visual form too. That'll add a citations needed tag to the statement. Okay. So special difficulties for women, there's less is written about them, and there's like name changes. So you need to, it's really important that like, so like when women like marry or whatever and then they change their last name, someone might search for either name. And so you can actually create redirects from all the versions of the name that someone might search to the main page. And so basically you make like a dummy page that then redirects. So there's a lot of really great information at this Wiki Project Women read. They have this whole primer specifically about like writing articles for women. Scientists also pose a problem because like often not much is written about them, so there's not enough proof that they're notable. So Donna Strickland wasn't considered notable until she won a Nobel Prize because not enough had been written about her beforehand. So there's specific notability guidelines for academics that have like specific criteria whether they're considered notable. Okay, so pictures. These are really, this is where things get really difficult a lot. Because, you always want to put, like, the picture of the person there. But they can be really hard to find. So you can only, like, safely use pictures that are in the public domain, which are things that are, like, created or shared with restrictions, often by government agencies. Works where the copyright has expired. So, like, published before 1923 in the U.S., or at least when I made this. It varies by country, so you can check. Or something that's licensed with one of these free licenses. It's one of these like CC licenses. But only specific CC ones, so you have to look at them. There's a whole lot of information at these different links that are in the slides, so you can learn way more about what type of pictures you can and can't use. So the first place to check is Wikimedia Commons, which is what we had talked about before. So it's this it's this source like where all of the stuff on here is going to be like free to use. So yeah, so I have some stuff on my page too, but basically, yeah, Wikimedia Commons, that's all gonna be like free stuff. And sorry, so with like Flickr, there are some types of images in Flickr that you can use and some that you can't. So you can only use like this ones. And an institution, sometimes be careful because an institution's stated terms of use may contradict with the Flickr license. So this was saying no known copyright restrictions, and then you go to the Smithsonian thing, it says you may not use the content for commercial purposes, which means you can't put it on the Wikipedia article. So like fair use, you might be able to upload a really low resolution picture of a deceased scientist if you can justify how it meets the fair use criteria, and they have a template and that sort of thing to learn how to do that. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch more information like in all these different things that you can visit in the links. And if you can't find one, you can put this like a template for that you're imaging request for people template on the article's top page. So you see these weird brackets. This is like this wiki code thing I'll tell you about in a minute. But categories. So you want to add categories to pages that helps the page get like found and recognized and all sorts of things. So that's why you might want to put like a needs categories too. You want to find the most specific subcategory and use it. So you can like there's an index and you can view category trees and stuff. But basically, you'd want to put like women chemists from Sweden instead of putting scientists because it's more you want to put like the most specific. Okay, Wiki Projects. You can also add a page to be be part of a Wiki project. These are like pages where editors have organized around a particular topic, and they keep lists. Some keep lists of like undeveloped or missing articles. You can add an article to a project by putting its template on the article's top page. So here were some of the ones like that I was doing when I was doing this thing. So you can see there's this like here's one of these. It just tells you about some of the things, and then like this Wiki Project Women Scientists. They have a bunch of people who like need their articles. I guess those were good articles. This is just an example of the articles that were there. See ones that need attention, that sort of thing. And the Wiki Project Women in Red, they have like yeah, so where was it? There's like a working list somewhere. That you can then, yeah, so there's a whole bunch of like ways you can find to find people who need. I have it somewhere, one of the links. Yeah, so here we go. The Wiki Project Women Scientists Works list. So here's like people that need the work that they know of. Then there's also, of course, like you can edit anybody. It might be people that haven't even been up there. But the whole thing with the red list is because if there's a word in Wikipedia that has a link, it'll be like blue and it'll have a link. Like you can click on it, like a hyperlink. But if it doesn't have a link, if it doesn't have a page, and someone thinks it should have a page, then they'll make it like it'll show up as a red link. Okay, so to search within Wikipedia and not the articles, you can like type Wikipedia into the search bar for what you're looking for. Wikipedia, and now it has like these various help topics. And that won't be searching within. That'll be searching like within the like all the Wikipedia like underground type stuff, not within like the actual article. So if you're looking for like help on something, it's not going to take you to a page about what that thing is. It's going. There's also like a help directory with links to lots of useful things. Reference desk. There's the tea house is really great if you have a question. This is really welcoming to newbies. And so basically, if you have like a specific question, they have like volunteers that are going to help answer them. I used that a bunch when I was getting started out. And I also use this like wiki.edu. They have this like training tutorial type thing to help get you started. Okay, so there's different types of pages. So there's like article pages, which are what like you see with the articles, and then there's talk pages, which are the things next to it. And then there are user pages. So every account has a user page, and every user page has a talk page, and then users will be notified if you leave a message for them on their talk page. So yeah, so every article has its own talk page, and you can see. Let me just take you there.